Hey there, this is Jonathan.
And this is Lauren, and today we're going to be talking about the Colosseum.
Yeah, it's also known as the Flavian Amphitheater, as you see here. It was started in 72 AD and completed in 80 AD.
That is cool. So, what is it doing there?
It really served as a civic center for the people of the time. They gathered to watch all kinds of events: sporting events, horse races, chariot races, gladiator battles, all kinds of things.
Wow, who would think of something like this?
Well, one of the men behind it was Vespasian. He was the emperor from 69 to 79 AD. Unfortunately for him, he never actually got to see it completed. But interesting enough, in the book The Colosseum by Peter Quinnell, it states that Vespasian physically resembled the Colosseum, being large, plain, and immensely solid.
Interesting. So, this kind of has a funky shape, don't you think?
Yeah, it is a little weird shaped. The idea is that they took two amphitheaters, which were common from the time, and pushed them together to make one Colosseum. This gave it that circular or oval shape that it has now. And it's also just covered with archways, as you can see, and this is because of the columns they used in the architecture. This was very common of Roman architecture at the time, to be built on columns and archways.
Okay. So, why didn't other cultures do this?
Well, this is because of the concrete they used. According to Adrian 40, there really is no beginning to concrete's history, but Romans were the first to use it to their full advantage. No longer did they have to cut stone or hire special workers to work with it. So using concrete was much cheaper and much faster of a building process.
I can see that there are different levels. What is the purpose for that?
Well, as you see, there's all the columns are basically like different sections, and inside they had rows and seats just like we have today in our sporting arenas. This was used to differentiate Roman society. The closer you were, the more important you were.
Oh, cool. Sort of like Rihanna when she sits like first class in the basketball seats.
Yeah, exactly. Same idea. We still use a lot of the same ideas today. As you can see, we still have Colosseum shaped sporting arenas now. We haven't strayed too far from it. In Oakland, we have the Oracle Arena, which is a Coliseum.
Wow, that's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time.
Welcome back. This is Lauren,
And this is Jonathan.
and today we'll be discussing the statue of David by Michelangelo. Michelangelo's David is housed in Florence's Accademia Gallery, which is one of the most famous works of art. He started David in 1501, and it stands 17 feet tall and 3 inches.
Oh, okay. So, what inspired him to start this anyway?
Making the Great David was not something that Michelangelo doodled up for messing around with the block of marble. In the book Stone Giant by Jane Sutcliffe, it tells us how he was contracted in 1501 to create the huge metal figure to enhance and represent the city's famous Duomo, which is known as the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. David was ideally supposed to be put up on a niche so that the people could admire him on top of the cathedral's tribunes. However, the people realized he was way too beautiful to be placed up so high from everyone's sight. So a base was specifically built for David, and he was placed outside of the main government building in Florence.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense why he's so huge, I guess. So, I've noticed in this one, he's not standing above Goliath's head, and I know in other depictions of David, it's often portrayed that way.
Yes, this depiction of David is quite different than some of the other sculptures of David. David is usually portrayed after the battle standing of Goliath's severed head, yet Michelangelo takes his time to create David before the battle. In the sculpture of David, you can blandly see the slingshot, which symbolizes in a way that it was not so much the slingshot that killed the giant, but it was David's covenant and faith in God.
Oh, okay.
In this sculpture, Michelangelo focused more on David's characteristic traits rather than the victory of Goliath. When the statue of David was placed in front of the city hall in Florence, the people of Firenze have an identification and relation to David as a cunning victor of superior enemies. To his people, he represents strength and anger, and is a political symbol for the city.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, I guess. It's good when people can relate to him, just as we can kind of relate to him now.
Yes.
So, I noticed that David's right hand seems to be a lot bigger than his left.
Yes, it is. Um, Michelangelo purposely did this. This is no accident. In the Middle Ages, David was said to be of manu fortis, meaning strong of hand, and from this, Michelangelo cleverly depicts this image of him.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, thanks for teaching me all that, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time.